Right now we are talking about growth stories, and the companies who I'm about to invite to the stage has this very special own story. So please join me in welcoming the head of Berlin-based fintech Solaris, Carsten Höltkemeyer, the head of growth for Western Europe of Revolut, Wiktor Stopa, and product and technology chief of payment service provider Unsa, Niv Liran. Yeah, hello everybody. Let's start with the, for this panel, maybe most obvious question. What was your biggest growing pain? We start with Mr. Höltkemeyer.
But you don't want me to say regulation, right? That's not what you want to hear.
That's all up to you.
No, I think it's probably, it has to do with regulation, but for me the biggest pain is organization and is people. Because I do really believe if you're in a fast-growing environment and the organization is growing from 10 people to 20 to 40 to 100 to 800, Solaris has 800 people, then I think it's very obvious that in terms of being effective, you need very different structures, probably different cultures and different people. So the biggest growing pain for me is constantly adjusting your organization so that you can stay effective.
Okay, and this affects factors like BaFin, the ADAC deal, it's all about the internal structure.
Well, it is actually responding to challenges, right? It's the ability of an organization to grow. I mean, if you take BaFin, it's an ever-increasing, challenge for, fintechs to comply with regulation, and I think you have to cope with it, and you have to have the people that basically can digest what is needed and basically translate it into something that is meaningful from a fintech point of view. Because what we don't want to do is just to copy the mistakes of banking, right? So we don't want to be in the same camp. We want to do better. So you need people that are able to digest and actually adjust to that challenge. And I think ADAC, you mentioned it, is the same, right? It's a much bigger deal for us than in the past, and it comes with very different, kind of things that we have to solve for. Hence, people matter, and the ability of people to adjust to new challenges is key for everything.
So you mentioned also the inner growth with employment. What focusing on growth? Did Solaris focus too much on growth before you took office?
No. No, I think you need, first of all, I think when you are in a market, that is strongly growing, you have to prove that there is a demand, right? You have to prove that you can actually, deliver, customer value propositions, and you have to prove that you are, capable of helping your partners, right? So I would say it was absolutely right at the time to really, go into the market with different value propositions to really check out and to understand what is really a sustainable solution and what is probably something that we can learn from, right? So in hindsight, I would say that the strong growth and basically us exploring a lot of value propositions, use cases, what have you, was fundamental for the position that we have right now. So it was good, and I think I'm not questioning that.
What about the most important lessons you learned when you deal with so many problems at Solaris?
I think the lesson learned is, for me, probably about building resilience, right? And I think it's a question, are you able as a company at any point in time to cope with significant challenges in the market? Mm-hmm. Funding markets drying out, regulation increasing, customer crisis, what have you, right? So I think probably one of my learnings is that you are better prepared for those kind of challenges in advance, and there are points in time where you're not really able to respond quickly enough, and I think that's a big learning for me, and hence what we're doing at Solaris is to make sure that we are also becoming a very resilient player in this market.
Mm. Let's switch over to Revolut, mobile bank, other business model, not concentrating on B2B instead of B2C. Are these problems comparable for you?
I mean, we focus on both. So we have a B2B vertical in terms of providing services to business as well. But on the retail side, similar challenges. So scaling the organization from small, one market, various markets to a large amount of markets in Europe, outside of Europe. I mean, we are based in the UK. we grew from the UK throughout Europe and now expanding more globally. It's always a challenge to maintain the same product with different regulations, different needs of customers. I think that's the biggest challenge that you face, is building good enough of a product that serves a lot and building a perfect product that serves many in the same in small markets. I think this is the biggest challenge. And then it becomes an organizational challenge in terms of scaling it. And then second is localization for us. I think localization for us is still maintains till today the largest challenge that we face, because you need a certain degree of perfection to offer the best banking products to business customers or retail customers.
Would you say you're doing a good job concerning localization? Or
I think we are doing good enough of a job to see the adoption that we want to see, but we can always do better.
Okay. Let's focus also on growing pains, concentrating on British banking license, also uncertainties with annual financial reports. Maybe you can comment on that.
I mean, similar to growing pain, it's like in the organization structure that Revolut is, where you have a home market where you build it and then you basically scale exponentially through getting a local license in the EU, which then obviously has a massive factor on how good of a product you can offer in terms of a banking product to many markets, which we are able to do for Lithuania, leads also to challenges in making sure that the infrastructure in terms of reporting, auditing, and holding the responsibility has to grow with it. And I think over the last few years it has been a challenge for us to actually prove that we are able to do it. But it looks like, if you look at 2022 annual reports, that we are going into the right direction, that we are able to overcome these challenges with the growth that we have.
How difficult are problems in the home market? I mean, you face this experience as well in Germany. Is it difficult, or is it for you easier?
I mean, by home market, you mean UK or home market Germany?
UK for you, of course.
I would say for the UK and Revolut itself, the adoption always has been good, and the digital environment has been always very healthy. So we have a lot of healthy competitors that offer good solutions. I think in Germany, but it wasn't like that when initially Revolut and others basically started. If you look at Germany, I think we can all admit that we have good products in general, and that makes the competitive environment way more diverse. And I think then the other challenge that I at least face is that there is a certain set of traditions and basically behavior that it's very tough to interrupt with like a new innovative solution. So people need more convincing time, and you need to tell them more reasons why they would suddenly change their behavior.
One company who went through these regulatory difficulties is UNSA. You just went through a ban on new customers. How difficult is it to acquire new customers, new retailers after the end of the ban?
The ban is actually lifted, so we've invested a lot in compliance, and we see compliance as a USP and as actually a lever for growth. Our growth pains, I think, are related to the general fact that we have grown partially by doing M&A. And when you do M&A, you get duplicity of platforms, duplicity of functions, and you have to merge them into one coherent product. And you have to focus on that product and figure out, okay, I acquire this, I acquire that. What's my USP? What am I going to sell in the market? And bring everything to the same standard. So eliminate some duplicity. Of course, you want to bring everything to the same high level of compliance, because in this industry, compliance is a critical part of doing business. So we, of course, focused on that, but we focused a lot on bringing stuff together, building up, coming to the market with one product that we want to market. And of course, making sure that we have one platform, one application for each function.
So how do new customers, new retailers react after this ban? Are they reacting positive, so because you went through all of this, or what is their reaction?
Of course, there is a very positive reaction in the market to the fact that the ban is lifted. It's not that we have, we are regulated in 3 different markets. The ban was on a specific line of business on one of the acquisitions that we made. And I think there's a very positive response to that, because it's kind of a proof that we have done what needs to be done to comply with all rules and regulations.
I mean, you already mentioned compliance. Are there any other general lessons you've learned from the BaFin ban?
I mean, we all know and we all focus on making sure that the things are compliant and that business is done in a way that abides to all rules and regulations.
Okay. The entire payment industry is struggling with tough competition and a weak market. What does this mean for the future of the payment industry?
So we see ourselves as a company that enables our merchants to serve their customers both online and offline and grow with the business by providing also ISV solutions, integrated ISV solutions with payments integrated into the solution. We own and provide acquiring in-house. We provide white label buy now, pay later processing in-house. And we basically see ourselves as a one-stop shop for the merchant to basically grow with their business and delight their customers.
Okay. We had 3 different business models, 3 different growing pains. When building a company right now, what would you recommend, Mr. Stopa? Where should you focus on?
First and foremost, the team. So make sure you have a team to execute on whatever it is that you're building, whether it's in fintech or anything else. Focus on your idea, fail fast, so iterate fast, don't get caught up on a single idea or on a single concept. Make sure if you're in fintech that you know all the rules and regulations and all the frameworks around building what you're building. And I think these are the basics that you need to have in place. Beyond that is of course, build something that you can scale later. Don't hack and build things that later will be very hard to scale.
Would you agree on it?
Slightly different perspective maybe, and coming from a B2B business, clearly for us, it will be key to focus on our partners first, to understand what kind of value proposition they have and what they want to solve for, and then almost becoming a partner helping to grow, right? And creating a win-win-win situation with our partners and the final customers. That's most important. I think if you're winning in that market, if our partners are winning, we will win. So super important. But I also see that point on organization. I mean, this the point you mentioned, the failure culture, right? Yeah. It's an interesting thing. And my observation is the bigger you become as an organization, the less tolerant you are on failure, right? And I think this is a shame, right? Because I really do believe if we openly discuss about our failures and if we openly have a mechanism to adjust our failures, then we will be a much better company. But interestingly, when you start to build departments and you have an HR function and you have all these nice organizational things, right? But then people will become more and more shy to speak up, and I think that's something that really people should focus on when they build a new company, right? So failure culture, feedback culture, diversity, listening, and making sure that from a decision-making point, I mean, a CEO these days, it's hard to take every decision, right? You need to really have good people that can actually take decisions, and you need to facilitate this kind of culture of learning, adjusting all the time. So I think it's pretty fundamental.
So would you say you have a good failure culture at Zalaris?
I think we have a good one, but we are not perfect. I think we still can do better. I think that I'm in a lot of meetings where people really talk about failures, and I think that's almost always, an indicator for fast learning, developing something new, right? And I think it's not in all parts of the company yet, but I think we are doing good. We're doing good.
Focusing on building a company, growing pains, Mr. Stopa, what would you say? Is Germany one of the toughest spots to build a company in comparison to other European countries? I mean, Revolut is in several other countries.
I think I haven't built a company yet, so I can't judge from scratch, but just seeing what we did over the last 2.5 years since I joined, it's definitely tough because you basically need to break through more and more walls while you actually try to deliver a product to your market and find innovative solutions. I think the challenge with Germany maintains often that we are all very comfortable with what we do and how we live our day-to-day lives. And if I just take the simple example of cash, it's still very prominent in our world. And I think for companies like Revolut, where cash plays a role, but it's not in the center of the product itself, it basically you need to understand to what degree do I have to come down to the market to deliver something that the market really still needs, even though We see more and more debit cards being distributed, moving a little bit away from the classic Giro card. I think all of these things are super important, and it takes more time, and maybe it needs more innovation in the marketing messaging and the products that you ship. But overall, I would say we do quite well, but it's just basically takes longer than, for instance, in the Netherlands or France, which are also markets that I oversee. Yeah.
Why did it take longer?
Because the competitive environment is different, and because I think that in some markets, our core customers are more open to digital solutions, because they basically have not had that large variety of products that we see in the German tech scene or fintech scene or banking scene in general.
Okay. So you have to do work on the brand marketing in Germany.
You have to make the brand more present, but you also have to understand that, for instance, the behavior in Germany is that you have for a lot of single vertical products a solution already that is decent and that basically offers what users want. And I think what we initially saw as well with this one solution for everything is a right thing for a certain set of customers, but certainly not for everybody. So you need to then become more closer to the local market. And it leads back to the first point that I mentioned. You need to understand why credit or cards are being declined when you try to purchase your groceries. And you need to understand the reasons why. And you will often not see it in data, because it's also a direct conversation between the merchant and the customer. They will just say, like, yeah, we don't accept the card, which you will not see in your actual data by card decline or something like that. Mm-hmm. So these are the things that you need to work on and understand as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. What about UNSA? The payment sector, difficult one, low margins, strong competition. Where do you see potential growth here?
I think the future lies in integration and providing a fully integrated solution that provides not just credit cards and not just connectivity, but provides the full product suite under one roof. So the merchant doesn't have to contract a payment provider and an acquirer and an ISV and a POS provider or a cashier system provider, but providing one contract and one system and one platform that does everything and integrates everything together. That's where the market is going. I agree that payment processing itself is becoming more and more of a commodity.
So you're not worried about low margins or kind of stuff?
Of course, margins are a concern, I think, for everyone that does business. And I think that's where our USP is. We don't just provide payments. We are not just a payment provider. Mm-hmm. We provide software, we provide in-house BNPL, we provide acquiring, and I think that's where our power is.
And that you left your growing pains behind, is that for you the ultimate confirmation for future growth?
There's always growing pains, so this never stops, right? The trick is, I think, to grow without too much red tape. Like Carsten said, without growing too much of a bureaucratic organization where everything has to get a stamp, and staying, playing within the rules of the game as defined by the various stakeholders in the industry. It's not just the regulators. You have card schemes, you have market rules, you have all kinds of frameworks that you have to abide with. But if you are smart enough, you do it lean enough, but still within the play field. Yeah, and this enables you to move fast. Yeah, sometimes you fail, but as long as you fail safe, and I fully agree, you need to have a culture where failure is acceptable. It's fine to fail. It's not okay to fail twice on the same thing, because then you haven't learned anything. But overall, yeah, the growing pains, they never go away. Otherwise, it means you're not growing.
Solaris has a lot of growing pains still. Have you ever regretted to come to Solaris?
No, not really. Maybe a little bit.
A little bit? It's getting better right now, or?
No, I think it's probably fair to say that if you look through 2023, probably it was a bit too much in terms of challenge, because it came from different angles, right? So the whole situation in the funding markets for us quite important, because we needed additional funding to support our pathway into the future. Then having all the challenges with BaFin, then basically other challenges, people, reorganization, slightly adjusted strategy at the beginning when I came, right? So it was a lot the same time, and then clearly some movements in the market, came on top, right? So I think there was probably a point in time when I was wondering how many more challenges a company needs to kind of cope with. But overall, I would say for me it was a fantastic learning, because I think the main reason to actually join Solaris was technology, agility, innovation, culture, and I think this is a big check for me, and I think it's a fantastic asset. I think we have to now go through this kind of transformation period, but I really feel that we are making great progress, and I think, after all, you would probably say, well, it was tough times, but it was good that we did that. And I think, again, the learning for me personally, but also for the organization, is very significant, right? So I was talking about resilience at the beginning. I think this year has proven that we are and that we can cope, and I think this will help us in the future. So no regret, really.
You get a lot of support from existing investors. How important is that to feel it in such a difficult period of time?
No, it's super essential, right? I mean, and Solaris probably is a good case, that in difficult times when markets are basically challenging and closing down, you need strong existing partners, to help you through that period, right? And I'm very thankful that we have been able to mobilize, the investors, the existing investors, and I think it's a big testament of the course of, the plans we have, and I think it's a recommitment of, I think a great working relationship between investors and company. And if you don't have that, you should be really careful in terms of growing into something new, right? So you need the backing, especially when you are, in banking territory. You need strong partners. Yeah. So I'm very thankful.
If you have any questions in the audience, just let me know. Raise your hands. We have a cube here. It's not the case. I can continue with my questions. There are still some left. Okay, I didn't see anyone. So, Mr. Stopa, concentrating on Germany, what can we expect from Revolut here?
I mean, we are trying, as always, to fulfill the needs of our customers. I think this is the number one challenge for us, is to make sure that we deliver the products that our customers want, existing and future customers. I think one of them is to make sure that we provide the local IBAN, so we basically don't face the issues that we faced with the IBAN discrimination which we had, or even often face with the Lithuanian INA that we currently provide. And second, to further build up the portfolio of products that we have that help people either grow their wealth by investing actively in the stock market, or basically putting money aside and getting interest rates on these on their savings. I think these are all solutions that we are building and shipping to the market one by one. The challenge always maintains that in the hierarchy of markets that we have, which one do you over prioritize? We have a lot of demands from customers all around Europe, so we need to always then check who gets it first. But I think overall, we know that Germany is basically something that's a market that needs a special treatment, and that's why we put a lot of efforts, staff-wise, but also in terms of like our overall company strategy for this year into Germany.
So how do you want to get more speed on track? I mean, you have 1.5 million customers. Yeah,
roughly around that. I think one of them is further building the brand. I think what we often see, and also in the data that we see, is that still, even though we have a substantial size, a lot of people still don't know about the Revolut brand. So you will see us a lot in the large cities where you have high affinity for digital products, but we want to break out also a little bit from the classics, Berlin, Munich, Frankfurt, Hamburg, and then basically go more into the areas where people actually have limited access to or to the visibility of such digital products. So we are trying to break it through building the brand, but also build good enough products that they basically do the job for you. One thing is spend money on marketing. The other thing is that basically where Revolut also initially came from, we built the best-in-class products.
Why should I choose to go to Revolut instead of N26 or Trade Republic? What is doing Revolut better than the others?
I think we are all doing a good enough job. I think you personally should go to make sure that you have an understanding of what are the products that everybody offers. But I think if you are the type of person that likes to explore new features that you might not even think about, I think this is the right place to go. That you will always be surprised by offerings that we come up with. And two, if you're a person that interacts a lot in the social life, in the day-to-day spending life, you have a lot of, let's say, online purchases, I think this is the right solution for you. If you then basically are more conservative, you're trying to build a house, you're saving up for a mortgage, I don't think that we yet have the solutions for that, but it doesn't mean that will be in the next upcoming years.
Okay, so very special features you wanna get me to Revolut, okay? Because I mean the other ones also have a broad range of products, and also then they mainly focus on Germany, not How many countries are you? 140? I don't know.
I mean, the core essence of products offered in Germany is same, I would say. It's like you get most of the standard set. I mean, fees differ than what you get in exchange for the subscription prices that you pay if you have a subscription model. But it really then depends again, it's like what user experience you enjoy the most, and then also it often depends on like what is your experience with the bank or provider that you had before. Like, are you happy with it? Are you seeking for innovation? Are you being charged for just using something that you can get free everywhere else? These are all of the questions that people ask, and I think we are trying to keep, as from the beginning, the set of fees to a certain minimum limit, that we basically have enough of offerings, but actually don't need to charge you for holding a standard account, which is basically basic needs that shouldn't be commercial.
Okay. What can the customers expect from Unser in Germany?
We focus on being very local in our core markets, which are Germany, Austria, and Denmark. We focus right now on rolling out our entire product portfolio across those core markets. We recently launched our POS Go, which is an integrated Android terminal with embedded payments and cashier software on one device into Luxembourg and Austria, with Denmark coming next. And yeah, that's basically where our attention is right now.
Okay. And at the end, Solaris, you are still interrogating the ADAC credit card portfolio. You lost Vivid as a partner. So what are your plans concerning scalability this year? Are we seeing another ADAC deal, or was it enough for the next years?
No, I think, in terms of the ADAC, probably this is one for a year, right? So we should really focus on that, and I think that's actually what you can expect from Solaris. It's passion about the partners that we have, and we want to be successful on that front. And I think once we have proven that we can do something like that, I'm very sure there's a next kind of opportunity out there. But again, coming to growing pains, one after the other, and not all the same time.
How painful is it to lose a partner such as Vivid?
Well, it shouldn't be painful, right? I think because I think we are also partner for a certain period in time, right? We should just accept that there are business models that we can support for a period of time, but maybe not forever, and that's fine for us, right? If we can help people to grow and to start and to find their way into kind of financial service, that's also okay. So we shouldn't, be sad about losing partners. I think we should sad about losing partners which are complaining about us. That is something that is hurting. But if people say, well, Solaris was a fantastic partner for the time, and now we are kind of grown up and we need a different solution, that's fine, and we are proud. So we are not kind of sad about losing partners. It depends, how the relationship was really.
Okay. And what about the IPO plans? When is Solaris IPO ready?
Yes, we're working on it.
So how long will it take? 3 to 5 years?
I think
next year?
You know my background in football, right? And the coach of St. Pauli football is always saying, well, we are not talking about kind of relegation and going up into the Bundesliga. We always watch the next game, right? And that's basically my answer for that.
So is it the next game, the IPO, or is the next game BaFin? And
there are many games to win before we IPO.
Okay. Thank you very much, all three of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.